Emotional self-defense. Sorry, that opening was a bit more intense than I was expecting. Sorry, I've got to get my breath back a little now. Emotional self-defense, episode 2. Self-respect. Let's talk a little about self-respect today. I want to ask you straight up, do you feel like you have self-respect? Do you feel like you respect yourself as much as you respect others? Because if not, that has to change. I want to talk about self-respect being a perfect defense, a perfect guard against these little digs, these little emotional attacks, as a perfect guard against really being emotionally abused. Because if you respect yourself, then these digs and attacks and abuse that previously goes unnoticed suddenly just becomes very, very clear that it's happening to you. And you just begin to see these attacks a lot better. It's like the more you, in boxing or in fighting training, you just learn to see these attacks coming in. So something that happens is the enemy telegraphs their attacks, because it just becomes very obvious which punch they're about to throw. And the more self-respect you have, that's like learning where the attacks are coming from and learning to see that telegraphed attack coming to you. But obviously I'm speaking more about the emotional attacks, the psychological attacks, the psychological abuse that comes at you on a daily basis and does come at you if you're not wary of it. So, self-respect. There is an old proverb, an old African proverb, that goes, if there is no enemy within, then the enemy outside can do us no harm. And that's a really good one to start working with and to start looking at. If there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. And this works on 2 levels. Firstly, by having that self-respect, by loving yourself, being compassionate towards yourself, by being kind towards yourself, by honouring yourself and by respecting yourself, you are no longer as hurt by little comments, little perceived slights, little digs, things that previously would have you absolutely floored. There's no enemy within now, so these attacks just don't land. They are just not powerful enough to hit anywhere vulnerable, because there's no enemy within, so you're not constantly fighting yourself. And so the attack doesn't hit you as hard. If the attack does land, you brush it off a lot quicker. I'm going to give you a little example here. Previously, I didn't have that much self-respect. I was in the process. I was beginning the process of healing, the process of recovery, the process of getting better, getting stronger mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I was in that process, but I wasn't there yet, so I still had all these weak and vulnerable areas. And I was working one day in what's called the toning studio, which is I'd begun my journey in the fitness industry, working in the fitness industry, and I was in this small facility within the gym that had power-assisted exercise machines, and there's just a lot of footfall coming in every day, and I loved it, actually. I loved that job. I still look back fondly with it, but there were occasionally, I think because I had so much meaning tied up, it was my first job in the fitness industry, I really wanted to do well. Sometimes I was just floored and really upset by comments that came in from the members or from the staff, a little negative comment, and I would be absolutely in turmoil. And one day there was a comment came in, I was saying, it'd been a really early start, and I was on my 7th day in a row of working, and it was a really early start. I was like, it's hard work. And one of the members, she was sat there on the exercise machine and said, you don't do a hard job though, do you, Corin? It's not exactly difficult. She laughed and just made that comment. And it was like, oh, I was like, whoa, like, I was really upset. Not externally, but internally, I was absolutely that. It pulled the rug from underneath me, and I went home and I was like, oh God, I was really upset, I was really sad. And then I was thinking, God, does everyone think that about me? Does everyone think that I don't work very hard, and maybe it isn't a hard job? Maybe I'm not as hard a worker as I thought I was, and why, if she thinks that, and then to anger, like, why, how dare she say that like that? She shouldn't be saying that. And then even to beating myself up about like, oh no, I need to set more boundaries, and I need to like bat that away when it comes in. I should have said something at the time. That's how vulnerable I was. There was an enemy within because I was still doubting myself. I still had no self-respect. And so that floored me for days. That was on my mind. These days, if that comment came in now, I wouldn't respond to it. There'd be no reaction at all. It just wouldn't really register. And not because of anything, it's just whatever. Because I know I work hard. I know. And I'm not interested in what anyone else's opinion on that is. So if somebody said, hey, Corin, you're a really hard worker, it's like, thanks. If somebody says, hey, Corin, you don't work very hard, it's like, yeah, thanks. It's all the same thing, really, because that validation comes from internally. You begin to turn towards yourself for that. And if you're very honest with yourself, you just know that you just know that's it. So it doesn't land in the same place. It doesn't hurt you the same way that it used to. And the same sort of comments, let me get into some good lighting here. So the same sort of comments that came in previously, and everyone's got these little areas, these weak areas within us that for a lot of people it's like insecurity, like physical insecurity. So we feel we don't look very good, and so if there's a comment that maybe we perceive as somebody saying, oh, you've put on weight or something like that, it's like, oh, that'll wreck you for a week. Or like, even sometimes it's not even that anyone's making an intentional comment. It's not, and it wasn't intended to hurt you, but because you have this insecurity, it just pulls the rug from underneath you and you're in turmoil for a little while. Very painful, very, very painful. So it's worth knowing, like, that's what pain is for. That's what pain is for. It's like if we have a physical pain, we know it's our body trying to bring our attention towards something. So if we have these areas that we feel it's persistent and repeated, these areas that hurt us when we're attacked in a certain way, or even when we attack ourselves, that's what the pain is for. It's exactly the same for emotional pain, for psychological pain. It's your whole mind and being trying to draw attention towards a certain area. And the good news there is that we can work on that. Forget the external world. Forget the external world. Don't fight the external enemy. If you could fight the external enemy, that's what I'd recommend. But there's too many of them. Instead, if we turn inwards, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. Well, then you now have a perfect defense, which is where self-respect creates that barrier. And even if the punch does land, it toughens you up. It doesn't hurt quite so much. It's still not pleasant if you're directly attacked. Of course, it's not. And we have to understand that, it's a tough world. It's a tough world, and we're not going to be able to just go through life just skipping and dancing and laughing. And you have to not be naive about this. And there are going to be times that an attack's going to come in, you let your guard down, and it came in and got you. But self-respect. So, yeah, imagine this scenario. I'm going to go to workplace again, because workplace is often an area where, because we can't get away from it, we have to be there. And that means that we have to be with certain people that we'd rather not be around. Let's just be honest. If it's retail, maybe that's customers, it could be co-workers, colleagues, your boss, your manager. There's going to be people within that group that I would rather, if I had a choice, I'd not be spending time with them. but hey, that's why it's work. Work is work, and if you wanted to be around everyone, it wouldn't be work; it'd be leisure, and we have to work. So there you go. And so here's quite a common scenario. You've been grinding all day, you've been busting your ass all day, and you get to your break, and you've got your 20-minute break, half an hour break, whatever it is. You finally get a chance to sit down, start getting some food in, and 10 minutes into your break, either a colleague or your manager comes in and says, we need you. You need to help us with this thing. We need you now. And what's your response there? I want to challenge you with that there. How do you respond in that situation? Because that's a good test. It's a good test of how much self-respect you have. Previously, I'd have gone, oh yeah, of course, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry that I was having my break. And I'd put like my food away and like, oh God, like, why, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm having my break. Yeah, I'd rush in. But these days, I say, no, I've only just sat down for my break. It can wait for another 20 minutes. Okay, I'll come straight after my break. I'll come and help you straight away, no problem. And I wouldn't put up with any blowback from that. It's like, oh no, it's like, no, I need my break, all right? Unless it's like an emergency, unless somebody's dying. Is somebody dying? Is there a massive rush? Does it need to be done now? Are you sure? Because if it's not literally an emergency, then it can wait then, can't it? Because what's more important here is that I get my rest and I get my food, because I've been working really hard and I'm going to be working hard for the rest of the afternoon. It's not much to ask just to have my 20-minute break, is it? So, and then you leave it as well. It doesn't keep coming back up in your mind like, oh, should I have done that? Should I have said that? Should I have done that? What's everyone going to think about me? What are they going to think about? What are they going to say about me? It doesn't. It's done. It's ticked off and it's squared away. And the more you practice that, the more you practice. Yes, it is boundary setting, but a lot of people do things the wrong way around. They try and set boundaries before they're even confident within themselves. Get confident within yourself first. Have the self-respect first, and you will naturally have these boundaries. You will naturally just have that defense. We have to turn inwards first, but we're often looking for these techniques and strategies and toolkits and all of this. So how do I set my boundaries? How do I use my affirmative language? All of that will come naturally to you when you begin to respect yourself, when you begin to value your own feelings, when you begin to value your own emotions. If you value your own emotion, you don't put up with the insult, you don't put up with the comment. Here's another little scenario. Again, I want to challenge you. If you're in your friendship group or one of your friendship groups, there's like a little nickname or a little running joke that you're like dumb or something like that. You're the dumb one. And there's like, that's just one example. It could be like, you're the fat one, or you're the dumb one, or you're the one who doesn't plan things, or you're the airhead, or it could be any of these things. There's so many of them. And there's a little nickname or running joke. And you've been going along with it because, you want to fit in and you like your friends most of the time, other than when you've just suddenly become the butt of the jokes again. If you don't have any self-respect, you will just put up with that forever. And you will get beaten down and beaten down and pushed down and pushed down. You will be the lowest on the rung, the lowest on the ladder. You're just the whipping boy or the whipping girl. That it's just, you're the entertainment. It's just fun to dump on you. And because you don't have any self-respect, you're unsure of yourself, you don't like yourself very much, that means that you're so desperate for this approval. You're so desperate for the approval and the friendship and the belonging of the people around you, you'll just put up with it. I don't mind. I don't mind being that one as long as I get to be part of the group. Nah, that is no way to live your life. And if you notice that you do that, something's got to change there. It really has, because it will not be long until you are depressed, anxious, stressed out, miserable. That is a very miserable way of living your life. If you have some self-respect, if you have the self-respect, you say, I'm sorry, I don't like that joke. Can you not call me that again? And they say, yeah. And they still try and say, no, I'm telling you, you don't call me that again. and see how they respond to that. See how they respond to that. Because a friend, a real friend, will say, I am so sorry. I did not mean, I really didn't mean that. We were just all joking and stuff. I guess it's just a joke that's been going on for a little while. I thought it was okay. I am really sorry. I will not make that joke again. I won't make that comment again. It's not going to happen again. And then you can move on from there. You say, oh, I really appreciate that. I feel like I've been seen. I feel like I've been validated. I feel like you appreciate me and you validate my emotions. And then from that point, you can move on from there. Friendship continued. It's not a problem. But if they don't change, and you've told them how much it hurts, and you've asked them to stop, and they don't, that is abuse. That is abuse. That is emotional abuse. There is no way around it. You've asked them to stop, and they haven't. The thing that you're saying hurts me, please can you stop, and they don't stop. That is abuse. And do not fall for it when they say, oh, I didn't realise, oh, it just slipped out, oh, I didn't know that oh, I forgot that you'd said that. Rubbish. That is the biggest load of rubbish. Nobody says things by accident. Nobody acts by accident. And you need to start looking at it as seriously as this, as seriously as this. If somebody says something that hurts you emotionally, yes, sometimes we overstep a mark. We didn't realise somebody was upset by a certain thing, and yes, you maybe made a joke or you made a comment, it hurt them, and that can happen by accident. You'd have to be pretty careless to do it, but it can happen by accident. But if it's repeated, that's the difference. Once you've said, I'm not happy with that, and it carries on, you want to look at it like this. Because you will begin, if you've got no self-respect, you begin to justify that in your own mind. You begin to try and justify it as, oh, well, it's only like once in a while. Oh, I'm sure maybe they don't mean it. Oh, maybe I'm the one who's in the wrong, actually, because I actually have a laugh and a joke as well, and maybe I'm just as... Maybe you do want to work on that, but still, that's not the point. The point is, you've asked them to stop, and if they don't, what that is like is somebody walking up and just slapping you across the face and saying, you don't mind, do you? Like, no, actually, I do mind that. Can you not do that again? And they go, oh yeah, okay, well, whatever. And then weeks go by and it doesn't happen again. So you're like, okay, maybe it was a one-off. And then one day they just do it again. They just slap you across the face. You're like, I'm sorry. Now, how long would you put up with that? How many times would you put up with that? Probably not even once. Not one time. And that is the level of self-respect you're going to need if you want to be happy in life. That level of self-respect. Don't worry about losing friends. Do not worry about losing friends, because if people are making you feel bad, they weren't your friends anyway. Don't feel bad about walking away from a job. If you have self-respect, if the job isn't for you, if you've outgrown it, if you're better than that now, you've learned more now, then you are well within your rights to ask for a little bit more, and if it's not coming, then you go to the next one. It's not rocket science, is it? It's not rocket science, but you will notice that these things begin to happen. These things just begin to happen automatically. The more self-respect you have, the more you start to seek out friendship groups that validate you, appreciate you for who you are, the real you. They're not trying to turn you into somebody else. Real friends, a real friendship group will see who you are, see your being in its entirety, and help you to flourish in that. That's true friendship. That's a true relationship as well. All of this goes for relationships too. If somebody's treating you badly in a relationship, then yes, we need to work on that. No relationship's going to be perfect. But if you feel like you're smacking your head against a brick wall, how many times can you do that until you realise this isn't. If somebody's hurting you, why do we draw this distinction between emotional and physical? If somebody keeps hurting you, then it's imperative. You have to start understanding that your emotions are important. Your well-being is important, not just your physical well-being, but your mental well-being too. And we understand that not every relationship's not going to be perfect every time. There's going to be ups and downs, and you're going to have disagreements, you're going to have little arguments. But if you have self-respect, you notice the difference between just having a disagreement and a lover's tiff that you need to work through and establish a bit of a better communication and establish better boundaries. That happens. That's perfectly healthy. If anything, I long for a relationship like that, where you can have your disagreement, you can work through it, and then you come together after it, stronger for it, more united than ever. But if you have noticed that these down moments and these arguments are actually just you constantly saying the same thing over and over again, hey, I'd appreciate it if you didn't do that thing, I'd appreciate, that upsets me, it's not a big deal to change it. And again, don't get it twisted, it's not that hard to change small habits, it really isn't. It's not that hard to change certain ways that you speak to somebody. It's not difficult at all, especially if you love somebody, if you love someone. So again, don't be afraid to, if that keeps happening, you walk away, because your self-respect, as your self-respect grows and grows and grows, you just do not put up with it anymore. So how to increase your self-respect and self-esteem? Well, I almost said self-esteem there as well, but your self-esteem will increase with it too. Well, the first thing that we have to do, you have to understand that you're always watching yourself. Said it time and time again, awareness is key. Awareness is crucial. Crucial if you want to be happy, healthy, well, strong, secure, grounded, present, all of that. Let's get aware. Let's just get aware. And let's be honest with ourselves as well. There's areas about me I need to work on, obviously. I look back at how I was previously, and I am ashamed that I was the abuser, actually, at one point. If I'm being honest, I was emotionally abusive. I was cruel with my jokes. I didn't treat people very well. And I was just awful. I look back, I still cringe. Every now and then it keeps me up at night. But I'm like, how could I have been like that? Oh man, it's the source of a lot of pain that I still need to work on. But I've changed and I've grown, and I'm still trying to work on being the man that I want to be, and just moving away from that, move away from the past, and heal. I choose to heal. This is a mantra I use. I choose to heal. I choose to heal. I have a horrible memory come up of how I used to be. I choose to heal. I choose to heal, and that's my inner child soothing motion there. I choose to heal. I choose to heal. I choose to heal. And that will just healthily help you grow away from the past. And things are different now. Things are different. So, awareness is key. There are areas of you that you need to work on, absolutely. And here is where the self-respect starts to build up. You're always watching yourself. And if you're the sort of person, just look at your own behaviours. Look at how you act during the day. Look at how you dress. Look at how you speak. That's a really bad example because I dress terribly. Look, I'm wearing a Marvel t-shirt, so no, don't follow my advice on how to dress. One thing's for certain, this will never be a fashion channel. I don't know about style at all. So maybe that's the wrong one to use. But watch yourself all the time for how you act, how you speak, the things that you're putting into your body. You're having a bad time emotionally, do you just turn straight away to the alcohol? Are you doing behaviours that are betraying yourself? Are you constantly partaking in actions that harm yourself? Because that sends a signal to yourself. Our mind is it's a feedback loop. It's like a mirror. And if you're watching your own actions and you're just in these repeated food binges, alcohol binges, drug binges, you keep hanging around with people who don't respect you, you're getting into bad relationship after bad relationship, your self-respect is just dropping lower and lower and lower. And really watch for this, oh well, I don't mind. Really watch for that mentality, I'll just settle for whatever, I don't mind, I'll just stay in the corner and I'll just have, everyone else is feasting on the amazing food. And it's okay, I'll just have the scraps. I don't mind. That's what it's like in life. If you settle for the awful relationship with somebody you don't even like, you're hanging out with people who are bullying you, you're in a job that your skills and talents are way above it, but you've just been beaten down so much over the years by all the conditioning, all of the rubbish that comes in at us. You've been beaten down. It's time to turn that around. It's time to turn that script around. If you are watching this video, that means you're already engaged in the process. Don't think, oh, that can't be me. I can't do that. I can't turn my life around. You're doing it right now. You're doing it right now by watching this, by at least just listening. Even if none of this is landing, at least you're beginning this process of, hey, maybe I could change. Maybe something can be different for me. Maybe something can just start to, maybe if I just learn this different thing, maybe I can just change. Maybe this script, maybe I can just throw that script away and I can start writing a new ending for this. Maybe all of these beliefs I have about myself, oh, I'm just anxious, oh, I'm just weak, oh, I'm just not confident, oh, I'll never be fit, I'll never be strong, I'll never be charismatic, I'll never have the friends, I'll never have the relationship, I'll never have the job. What if you changed that script today? Today, you just close the book and say, to hell with what I've been saying about myself. I'm going to start a new story, and I'm going to start right here, right now. Yes, you don't know how right now. Yes, you don't have the support. You almost definitely don't have the support, if I'm being honest. If you're in this state, you definitely haven't had the support. Yes, you don't have the support. Yes, you don't have the friends. Yes, you don't have the knowledge. You don't have the skills, the experience. Well, we've got to start somewhere, haven't we? The greatest journeys begin with a single step. One step. One step is all we need. Begin that process, that journey, and you will find the journey itself naturally brings the self-respect up within you. You naturally begin to like yourself, perhaps for the first time in your life. Imagine it. Imagine it. For the first time in your life, you actually like yourself. You look in the mirror and go, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. You're doing the right thing. It's never too late to start, and you'd be surprised how much of the past just begins to fall away and how your present changes. You just come home feeling still a bit more energized, still a bit more fired up, still a little bit more happy about the work that you've done that day, because you're not letting people get into your mind and tell you that you're no good. Even, it's not always even like verbal, it's just with the way people look at you and the way people, if that enemy within is in there, if the enemy within is in there, all of these things just hit you harder and harder. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Self-respect being a perfect guard and a perfect defense, perfect emotional defense. And yes, defend yourself, begin to love yourself, begin to say, no, I am important, my time is important, my thoughts are important, my emotions are important. I am important. That's another good mantra. I am important. You are. You don't have to earn your existence. You're already here. Start chin up, chest out, shoulders back. Let's go. Let's go. I'm putting up with this anymore. Not anymore. There was a time I put up with it. Not anymore. I've grown. I've grown in strength, grown in confidence. Emotional self-defense team. Let's go. Keep the comments coming in. I love to see them. I love to read them. Let me know what you think. Any more questions? I'll get round to all of them. I will. I've had quite a few questions coming in. I will get round to them. I just have to wait for the inspiration. I can't just force them out. I have to wait for the inspiration, the energy, the drive to do it. As always, team, and I really mean this, you still have time.